I gave up on a 21-year-old marriage and walked headstrong into the gay lifestyle. When I was younger, my grandmother had adopted some kids from Korea. One of those was a boy a few years older than I was. When I was 5, I started being molested by him. I went and I told my grandmother that he was touching me, and she told me that's what boys do. I had no reason to doubt that, so I kind of grew up thinking that's what boys do. You know, boys are who you're with, and I really never had any other inclinations to go any other way until later. I had a boyfriend that I started liking him when we were 12, and he was the drummer in a band. I just wanted to do whatever for him to love me. And then one night at a drive-in movie, we went for a walk, and he took me over to a utility shed and grabbed my arm and pinned it up behind me and was going to rape me there. And I cried and I said, please don't do this. I promised if he would just at least take me back to the car, I would. And I got pregnant that night. He said, if you are pregnant, it's not mine. To me, it was one more guy. This is what boys do. Back then, it was 1969. There wasn't anything as far as abortion clinics. I went to a place with a dingy table and a dingy lamp over me. When it was all said and done, he told me that he was really sorry, but that he had scarred me and that children was not going to be an option. But he doesn't know the God I know. And God totally healed me. When Dave and I met, I just knew right away. God spoke to me and said, that's the man you're going to marry. Even having experienced all of that God did for me in my life, I still walked away. For that period of 8 years, my marriage was over. I had spent a lot of years expecting him to fill that void in my life, but he wasn't able to do that, and I didn't like the loneliness anymore. I had been married already once, and he had committed adultery on me, and then I got married again, and something awful happened, and when I went to go tell him, he preferred to watch the end of the Jerry Lewis movie and asked me if I would wait until later. It was just one more person, one more man that came along and just didn't love me the way I needed to be loved. When temptation presented itself, I took it. Someone came along, offered me something that I thought sounded different. I felt validated, and I kept getting online and doing things I shouldn't be doing and beating the next person to be with. It ended up turning into a lot of clubbing. Maybe even for a while I'd hide it from my husband. I just will never forget the look in my 16-year-old's eyes when he begged me not to go. But I did go, and I walked away from everything I had known up to that point. I've known God for a really long time, and he's walked with me through a lot of things. No one saw this coming, not even me. I was involved in church, I was involved in homeschooling my children, I was involved in the community. I would go out and then I would come home because I really wanted to be right. I wanted it to be right with my husband, I wanted it to be right with my children, I wanted it to be right with God, but it just wasn't right, and I knew it wasn't. I went to the gay churches trying to hear about God and try to tell myself it was okay, but even still then I knew it wasn't. So each time I would go home and I would tell him I was sorry, he was always really forgiving. He would always be willing to stand next to me and take me back. One night I prayed and I told God I wasn't willing to come out. Although he kept on me and on me and on me, I told him, God, I'm not willing to come out. I'm not even willing to be willing to come out. But I did pray and I said, Jesus, I am willing to be willing. And I came out. It wasn't easy, but I realized that the most effective lies are those that seem so right. I've discovered that as I took that step toward him, then he ran toward me. He was relentless. So we're soon to celebrate our 34th wedding anniversary, and it's better than it's ever been. God is just healing, and it's not perfect. I don't think any marriage is perfect, but we're growing together and we are really enjoying this time of our lives, and God is knitting us together in a whole new way that neither one of us have ever had before. And by me stepping back and allowing God to fill that void, now I'm free to love my husband. My name is Debbie, and I have a testimony about Jesus, from gay to godly.